everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And we are back with another episode of Hot Goss with Unpopular Sauce. And I am super excited to jump into the theory we have today. When do I
wanted
sing
you
it?
to sing it. Hot Goss with Unpopular Sauce.
I don't
It's
think
not
I've
like
ever...
a great song, but I like when you sing it. I feel like Dash in Incredibles when he's like, I like when it crackles.
I don't think I've ever intentionally done that. I think I just kind of talk in a sing-songy way. But
No,
I'm just telling you right now,
like
I've never meant...
episodes ago. And you said, I don't know why I even sang that. And I said I liked it. So I was hoping it would come back, but it's okay.
No. Okay, well, I just saw the new Inside Out 2 last night, so I'm going to make an Inside Out reference. That was not a core memory for me. I do not remember doing it. That one got flushed away to long-term memory at the end of that day.
It's crazy how fast I started referencing Inside Out 2. I also saw it last night. And immediately we were talking about a friend and how he's moving. And we're like, moving has become his new personality. It's become his belief system.
Yeah.
Like, turning it into that little thing.
I don't want to go too into it, though.
That may be a spoiler alert for Inside Out 2.
Not really, because no, it's not.
It's not.
But I'm just going to say we're not going to talk about it because the movie did literally just come out. So I want to give people a few weeks time before we start.
Okay, but what was your take? Did you love it?
11 out of 10. Oh my gosh.
Me too.
So
it was
good.
So good. It was better than the first one for me.
Me too. I feel like, honestly, this one hit home. I mean, the first one hit home with adults too, but it was just like, oh, wow, that's cute. Like, that's a good way to explain it.
Yeah.
This one is going to hit home for adults.
Because she's growing up and we've all gone through this. And it was such a beautiful way to portray so many emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is a spoiler because it's in all the previews, but if you're someone with anxiety, you will relate a lot to this movie. I was crying throughout the entire thing.
Me too. Which is why Ellie and I loved it so much. I was in tears on multiple occasions.
You know, it was so
good. But
all right, well, welcome to the pod, everyone.
Yeah. Very excited for today's episode. Warning, spoiler, this is going to be about pretty much mostly ACOTAR and Crescent City, but a lot of SJM books. So if you haven't read the ACOTAR series or the Crescent City series, move right along because we talk a lot about different things that happen in them. Also, I am going to call out, I feel like we got to comment on this. I love Sarah's books and I love talking about them. There's so many different theories going on, but this is going to be our last week for now, talking about SJM books. So if you are looking forward to other series, other conversations,
theories,
next week is going to be your week. We have a few different ideas on what we're going to do, so I'm not going to say what it is yet because, to be honest, we're not 100% sure, but I can confirm it's not going to be SJM related, so stay tuned for that. And also, if you listen to our book club episodes that come out on Wednesday this week, our episode on the Unseelie King's Rebel with Alicia Klapik is coming out. It's a very fun conversation. Alicia is on there. We do an author interview, and we had a lot of fun talking with her.
She's so fun to talk to.
Yeah, she was super funny, too. She was making us crack up the whole time. So it's definitely a fun conversation to listen to. Also, her book is the definition of cozy fantasy. And if you have no idea what that is, you just need to read her book. It's amazing. 10 out of 10. Fun genre and a fun way of making it something lighthearted. So, because a lot of time fantasy books are just very
intense,
all-consuming. Yeah, and this is a nice one. It's like a palate cleanser, but still within fantasy. It's nice, and that's exactly what she was going for, and she talks about that a lot as well. So definitely check out that episode. And also, we are very close to hitting 10K followers on Instagram, which is insane. Ellie and I started doing this, and we were like, oh, what if it doesn't go anywhere? We're like, you know what? That's fine. Like, at least it gives us an opportunity to hang out on a consistent basis remotely because we don't live in the same state anymore. And we're like, okay.
Like, it'll just be a conversation about books between us anyways. I mean, we would talk about it on the phone. Why not put it on the internet and just see what happens? And nothing happened for so long. And we were like, that's fine. I mean, it's exactly what we expected. And then one day everything happened. And now we have all these new listeners. Hi, everybody. And we have all these new Bookstagram friends. And it's been so much fun. So when we hit 10K, we are going to do a giveaway. So share our episodes and our page. Socials, and we don't know what we'll give away yet, but it'll be something cool. And we'll announce it within the next couple weeks. Or week, probably week. Yeah.
Yeah. So, share our podcast on your stories or whatever. Make sure that you tell all your friends about it. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a comment or review on Apple Podcasts. Spotify is awesome as well, but you can't leave a written review on Spotify. You have to do that on Apple. But yeah, just seriously, like Ellie said, like overnight, almost it felt like things kind of changed, and we really, really appreciate everyone being here, and we have so much fun doing this. So it's fun to share our thoughts with you guys and have this little fun online community that we get to,
and if we haven't mentioned,
connect with.
It's fun. It's just fun, and it's fun.
Exactly. It's just fun. All right. So with all that, let's jump into our Hot Goss episode. Ellie, are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
I am.
So let's talk about where Amren came from and what her potential is going to be in these next, or in the next book.
I love this. Okay.
All right. So there are a lot of religious associations with Amren's character, and even SJM has commented stating that this is true. In an interview she did in 2019 with Bridget Kemmerer, she said that Amren is, quote, an Old Testament angel. However, that's what people use. They just use like that one specific line. I'm going to read the entire quote for you guys because that does give a little bit more context. She says, okay, so Amren is basically an Old Testament angel. Not one of those angels with the pretty white wings. Hers are more like wings of raging fire. Think the angel of death, that sort of angel. So when people use this to say she's an Old Testament angel, actually it's fairly out of context because she's just explaining that she's an Old Testament angel in the sense of she's not what you think of when you think white wings, pretty, like conventional angel.
Is there any truth to, because I've seen people hand in hand say, oh, she's actually an Old Testament angel, specifically the angel of death from Exodus in the Bible. Is there any truth to that?
Well, okay, based on this quote, to me, that's not necessarily true. To me, SJM used the expression like think angel of death, like that kind of angel. That's what she says. So for me, it was more of a comparison, not saying she is an angel of death like from the Old Testament. However, if we continue on in this quote, she does say, essentially, she's an angel assassin that got tired of doing a god's dirty work and became curious about what else was out there, what else existed in other worlds. So when she saw the portal open in the sky, she went through, and through a course of events that I'd love to tell one day, became trapped in her body. Poor Amren. So while she might not be specifically the angel of death, she was essentially an angel assassin.
Yeah.
So I do think that there are parallels, but I don't think it's true when someone specifically says she is the angel of death from the Old Testament.
I totally agree with that. And I think all evidence points back to that based on our Norse mythology episode. How Sarah pulls, she had a minor in religious studies, right? That was her.
Yeah, she did.
One of her degrees. So she obviously pulls from all these religions and all these belief systems and things like that to create the ideas for her characters. Like we talked about the three Nords, the all-seeing fate type girls, and that points directly to Aelin, Feyre, maybe Nesta, and Bryce. And so I think just because they are tied together, that doesn't mean they are Nords. That doesn't mean like they are exactly the mythology. And similarly, I wouldn't say that Amren's going to be exactly an Old Testament angel. She's similar to one.
Exactly.
So yeah, I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right. I think on one hand, we can use the mythology or the Bible, like the text that she's pulling this inspiration from to try and guess what we think she's going to do next. But obviously it's going to be her version of that. So it's not going to be like if you've listened to our last episode about Norse mythology and all the inspiration that she's pulled from that and what we think is going to, you're so right. In an old episode of ours where we talk about that
episode.
We talk about, or like, I think that her next series, which is rumored to be called Twilight of the Gods, and realistically, I think it probably is, if it's exactly what I think is going to happen, is going to be her take on Ragnarok. So obviously it's not going to be like Thor exactly, and Loki and Odin and like all these actual gods that were in the mythological Ragnarok battle, but she's already written about Valkyrie, which is actually a Norse part of the Norse mythology and stuff. And I think the Valkyrie is going to be a huge part of this in the world that she's created. And I do think that all three of her main FMCs are going to be a big part of it and like come together and stuff. So I do think it's going to mirror Ragnarok, but that's pulling from that inspiration that we think that evidence has shown she's already used to create the characters that she has. So totally agree with that.
Totally agree.
But also, I'm just want to point out, because we brought this up, in that interview, she also does specifically say that she has, quote, a couple other fairy tale and mythology retellings already written. Cough, cough. Ragnarok.
I didn't know that.
Cough, cough. Our Hot Goss episode from a couple weeks ago. So just saying.
Oh, Twilight of the Gods, I bet you was just sitting in her closet, just collecting dust, just waiting for the moment for who's her publisher?
Bloomsbury.
Is it? Yeah, just waiting for Bloomsbury to be like, all right, let us get one more.
Now's the time. I know. Honestly, though, this interview too was in 2019. It is 2024 right now. Like that. If that's true,
crazy.
Like, that means these have literally just been sitting for years, and all of us are like, give us more. Yeah. And she's had it this whole time.
That's crazy.
All right.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, we need that.
Agreed. So, with all that being said about Amren being potentially similar to an Old Testament angel or the likes thereof, it doesn't necessarily mean that she has to be any kind of, quote, angel that we've seen SJM write about, such as the archangels in Crescent City, who were created by the Asteri to be perfect soldiers and loyal servants, or even an Asteri herself, that we have talked about in past episodes that we think that Amren is an Asteri. I'm based on everything that we're about to talk about, I'm going to rescind that statement. It made a lot of sense in the moment, but now having a little bit more context, I don't think that is actually what's going to be what ends up happening.
Do you not?
Personally.
I almost doubled down, and here's why. And I know we're going to talk about this in just a second, but what we know from Amren as of the book is that she was a messenger and soldier assassin for a wrathful god who ruled a young world. And I just feel like that describes the Asteri, how they move from world to world to world. And we already know that those under the Asteri did not like to be under them because they were wrathful and vengeful and terrible. And so almost just based on that sentence alone, I'm like, well, that points to someone like Rigolis. Like, that would make sense to me that she didn't want to be a part of that. But
yeah,
that's just
so to me, like, thought. I feel like what you just said is exactly why I don't think she is anymore, because if she is an Asteri, she wouldn't have been the one ruled. Like, as far as we know, they didn't. They were it.
Yeah, I guess I don't they were remember all five level characters, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't remember the backstory on them enough to confidently be like, they didn't have a god that they served. But I feel like that was the case.
Just hear me go incredibly unhinged real quick. If the Asteri are also the same as Valg, which has been a thought people have had, then there's obviously the Valg queen, the Valg kings, the Valg princes. So there is a hierarchy with them. And if the Asteri are similar, let's say like all the five, or how many, 7 Asteri that went to Midgard were all like Valg princes, quote unquote, then maybe Amren was like a lesser type of Valg. I hate it. I'm scrapping it. Let's move on. I don't like it. I don't even need notes on that.
You. I hear you, but that would mean she still wouldn't have been the same level of them as like Asteria.
Right.
So, anyways, but yes. So, like you said, what we do know of her for sure, based on the exact words that Sarah said, is that she's a messenger and an angel assassin for a wrathful god who ruled, and she no longer wanted to serve anymore. So pulling again, as we did last week, from Emily's Theories on Tumblr. Thank you, Emily's Theories.
Thank you, Emily's Theories.
Emily goes into a lot deeper into this thought process and into this theory that the god Amren served was Thur. And Thur is mentioned in the Crescent City series. However, in that series, he is described as, quote, a minor storm deity. But this could be a lie created by the Asteri. They have lied to everyone this entire time. Like, that's pretty much like
that is not
main plot of the entire 3 books.
I'm not gonna lie, when you said this could be a lie, I was like, all right. But then at that point, like, any theory is possible based on anything
for sure.
Could be a lie. But the Asteri are known specifically for lying. So if they said it, it's probably the opposite.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, you're right. In theory, everything could be possible if we're assuming something that we know is a lie. But like you said, that is like that's their little whole thing.
Trademark.
Like, that's just who they are. Yeah. So I don't really know personally how I feel about this aspect of her theory. I'm kind of torn. On one hand, I like it, but on the other hand, I don't know if it feels super realistic. But I want to talk about it, and I want to get your thoughts on it, and I want to get our listeners' thoughts on it as well. So here's the evidence that she cites for thinking that Thur is the god that Amren served in the other world.
Okay, hit me.
In Crescent Cities 2, Bryce mentions that Thursdays were named after Thur, as well as a, quote, behemoth planet. In Roman mythology, Thursdays and the behemoth planet are named after Jupiter, who is the god of gods. Jupiter, in Roman mythology, is the equivalent of Zeus in Greek mythology. Both Jupiter and Zeus were gods of thunder and lightning.
Okay, so Jupiter equals Zeus equals Thur.
Yes. So hear me what I'm saying. No.
I hear it.
Well, but Thur is a storm deity. So that is like all 3 of them are connected by weather, lightning.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So this pulls into the Ragnarok / Twilight of the Gods idea that eventually we'll get a massive come together final ending. And who better and more impactful to battle the, quote, god of gods, and the only other one to fit the description based on mythology would be Thur. So how does this tie into our Norse episode? Well, what are your thoughts, Ellie, on the grand ending? Like hell versus angels.
Yeah, we talked about like the idea that the Ragnarok was it's a translation for Twilight of the Gods, and the Ragnarok is essentially the final battle, which would make sense that, like, if anyone was going to lead all of those gods, it would be the god of gods, which would be Thur. Yeah. And it would also make sense that if he was like the tippy top one, that if Amren was someone who was serving under him, like he's not great, she wouldn't want to be serving him anymore. And also the hell versus angels. We kind of saw that theme as far as Crescent City went. And it was kind of like a flip-flop situation where typically angels are the good guys, hell's the bad guys. But it was flipped in this sense where the Asteri were the angels. And so that would make sense because hell was just barely getting started in Crescent City. We obviously have the Many Waters book that's coming out. And so I think they might play an even bigger role. And it's, and remember in the Norse mythology episode when you said the oceans were going to rise and like swallow everything? That was part of Ragnarok?
Yes, that's part of Ragnarok is the human world. Now I don't remember the name of it in Norse mythology. Oh, it's Midgard. That's
Midgard, yeah.
Midgard is their human world. And in Ragnarok, Midworld like sinks. It like goes completely underwater. Okay. So yes, that is part of Ragnarok, and I think that is going to play into, that's either going to happen in Twilight of the Gods or that's going to happen in Many Waters to set up Twilight of the Gods.
Yeah.
I think.
So I think in that sense, let's just combine the two and say Twilight of the Gods and like the House of Many Waters book. Let's just say it's all one thing just for the sake of understanding. Yeah. The gods all come together to take back, to have vengeance or something like that. Something peeves them. And then hell has to come up and fight them. And who's leading that but maybe Hunt, since he was... born of
created,
hell,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then
of the prince, one of the princes of hell.
And then all 3 FMCs maybe come together one way, somehow, some way.
Not
and
maybe,
then
yes.
Thur is the one leading this, and so then Amren has to come and play like I already know all about him. Let's go. Hey, Amren's I might like this theory.
Amren's gonna be the jump scare at the end. That's like the whole time she's going to be like, everyone's going to be able to tell that she's hiding something, but no one's going to know what. And she's just going to be kind of reclusive or whatever. And then at the very end, we're going to learn she's like, I have to tell you guys, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know all this. Here's what we need to do.
And based on exactly what you just said, is that not exactly Amren's personality already?
Absolutely.
She freaking withheld everything in Akawar to the very end and was like, hey, Feyre, let me just trick you real quick. And then...
she wasn't telling anyone that she was sacrificing herself, which I will say that's sweet, that like the intention behind it, but at the same time she really pulled an Aelin and just like had her own plans.
True. So this is all aligning for me. I think that we cracked the code.
Yeah. So Emily's theory goes further to explain that Amren could also be a type of dragon angel hybrid. Stay with me. So to tie this theory in the Bible, seraphim are Old Testament angels, which we also know Sarah has linked Amren to. Depending on the religion, seraphim are also to be considered the highest ranking angels. They are also known as angels of fire. The term seraphim comes from the Hebrew plural noun seraph, which is spelled Seraph, and that plural version of the word means burning ones or fiery ones.
Oh, that describes her.
Amren's true form is described as one of, quote, pure light and fire with wings of flame. So, like, think back to the scene you were just talking about in Akawar, when she takes everyone out, like, all at once. And Amren's eyes are also likened to, quote, seraphim steel on an occasion as well.
Okay.
The singular form of the word seraph that we talked about earlier, spelled Saraph in Hebrew, translates to fiery serpent. So the plural version of it is burning, fiery, or whatever, but then the singular is like building upon that. Not only just fire, it's also fiery lizard, essentially. In non-biblical
snake, but yeah, a lizard.
You know what? You're so right. I said serpent, but in my head I was thinking reptile. So whatever.
Have you seen Over
Fiery
the Hedge?
Snake. Yeah, but not enough to quote it.
I'll quote it for you. There's a part where they're like, that little turtle is amphibian, and the turtle's sitting there. He's like, reptile. I don't know. That popped into my head.
I'm glad
Move
I did.
on.
All right. In non-biblical sources, seraphim are sometimes called Achiist, which in Ge'ez, which is an ancient Ethiopian language, Achiist means serpent or dragon. Yeah, so SJM refers to Amren as a, quote, fire drake multiple times throughout the series. Fire drakes are a type of dragon. And I'm just to play devil's advocate here because I do like to do that in my daily life. Obviously, this could be her just describing Amren's personality because she certainly has what I would consider to be a, quote, fire drake type personality. However, my favorite thing about Sarah is that she'll say all of these things or write aspects of a book that we all just take to meaning, take for as it is, like on the page, and then brings it back later, and it actually ended up meaning a completely different thing, and it has all these other connections that we didn't see coming, and then our minds are blown. So the fact that the fire drake is a type of dragon, literally every single time. We talk about this in one of our author episodes.
This is why we have to do the theories. You'd think I would get it like sooner or later, and I don't. I read right over it and I'm like, whatever, and then it comes back and I'm just like, again.
Okay, we talk about this in one of our author interviews, but I'm gonna out myself here. I fall for everything that Sarah does.
We solve no riddles. We fall for every jump scare.
I am the kind of, I was one of the ones who had no idea that her riddle was love. And then at the end, when it was love, I was
didn't know either.
Oh my gosh, I can't, like, that, what a cute thing. And then I go online and I see everyone's like, are you kidding me? That's what it was? And I'm like, yeah, I hated it. Definitely.
Wiping the tears. Yeah, that obviously. Exactly. So simple.
Knew that one right away. Can't pull one over on
gosh.
Me. So,
yeah.
With that being said, I take everything she says verbatim, and then it always punches me in the face later on when it turns out to be something else.
Ellie and Melissa 2.0, we're looking at fire drake, that word, a little more seriously this time. And it probably ended up being nothing because we flop. I flop 100% of the time, I think. So it could be, but it's probably not.
Well, now I'm on the, like you said, we've flipped. I overanalyze everything now because I'm like, this will never happen to me again. And it still does.
I will never be left a fool again.
But here I am, still just a girl who couldn't figure out a riddle was love.
I know.
At the end of the day, that's who I am at my core.
Yeah, and Inside Out 2 comes right back around.
That's my belief system right there.
Yeah.
All right, so another point to this. Amren also drinks blood. We know she doesn't eat food. She just drinks blood. And she's quoted saying that she prefers lamb and goat blood because, quote, the blood is purer, richer, reminds me of another time and place. Coincidentally, in Throne of Glass, and if you haven't read Throne of Glass, this is like our only Throne of Glass reference, so just skip ahead like 5 seconds. In Throne of Glass, goat and lamb happen to be the preferred snack of wyverns. So
you're so right.
And also, I could be so off base here, but if I'm remembering correctly, isn't okay, here's about to be another here's an Empyrean series spoiler if you haven't read any of the Fourth Wing or Iron Flame books, but don't the wyverns, or sorry, not wyverns, dragons, like Andarna, doesn't she talk about wanting like to char a lamb? Isn't that what she likes to eat too?
I think so. I think that's pretty standard. Also, the dragons in House of Dragons / Game of Thrones eat sheep.
Oh, you're so
well.
right. You got that starts tomorrow.
Yes, it does.
The next season. Oh my gosh! Yeah. I just got so excited. I love dragons. I'm so excited.
I know you do.
All right,
it's so cute.
I think that's also part of me why I kind of want all of this to be true. I would love for her to be a dragon because I'm just, Sarah has like teetered with wyverns a little bit now, but like I haven't, that's like the one aspect of fantasy I feel like she really hasn't fully dived into.
Well, we're bound to get one because
I hope so.
Ariadne is the dragon shifter. So
true.
At some point, I'm sure she'll make a comeback, or maybe not. Honestly, who knows these days?
She has to. And I'm gonna bring Ariadne up in a bit, so keep that in the back of your mind as well. All right. Another point to this. Amren loves to collect very expensive and nice things. Almost like a dragon would for their hoard. Every dragon, and like my first one I think of is Shrek, obviously, but
Shrek.
Pretty much any dragon in any movie, they're mean and scary in their cave because they're protecting either babies or their treasure. Yeah.
I can name you 3 dragons right now that have been protecting their jewels. Number 1. The dragon named Dragon in Shrek. The dragon from The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, the Narnia Chronicles series. What's its name? I don't know.
You said you could name 3.
No, I'm naming 3 from each. I'm naming the movies.
Oh, okay.
That one's probably also Dragon. Then the third is that one in that new movie, the Netflix one with Millie Bobby Brown.
Yes, I was just gonna say that was. But she was dual. She was doing. Also had baby. Well, had
Yeah, she
spoiler.
had. Yeah.
But
Ooh.
regardless.
This is just riddled with spoilers. Inside Out spoilers. The Millie Bobby Brown movie. It's called The Damsel.
Yes, there it is. Thank you.
All the books. Also Iron Flame and Fourth Wing.
Oh, man. Just watch. I hope you have watched and or read everything in the world before
I hope you've lived our lives before you've listened. Sorry,
All
guys.
right. So, in Greek mythology, Zeus, who we're paralleling as Thur, was born on the island of Crete. In Akatar world, Prince Drakon, Miriam, and the other seraphim lived on an island called Krita. I was going to say this earlier, and then I forgot because we started talking about something else. I just want to circle back to this and hear me. It will all come together, and you'll know why. What did you say that one Asteri's name was from Crescent City?
Regulus?
Okay. I have heard it said Rigulus.
Ew.
And
Rigulus?
it took me... Rigulus? Are you kidding me? Rigulus is better than Rigulus.
Sounds so ugly to me. I'm so
Rigulus?
sorry if your name's Rigulus. I didn't even think that when I said that out loud.
I think
like
it's a
Rigulus,
fairly
though.
safe bet that not very many people are going to be named Rigulus.
Don't name your kid Rigulus. And
Well,
if you are named that,
Rigulus-
just start going by Rigulus. That sounds like
No.
a Joker name. I don't know.
Wriggle sounds like wiggle, and so I
Yeah.
am Wiggleless. And then that sounds like someone with a speech impediment saying Nicholas. So Wriggleless is just not my favorite.
Okay,
Sorry.
where were you going
Anyways.
with that?
Well,
Just to bring it up?
no, I was gonna say something earlier when you said it, but then we started talking about something else, and I forgot to circle back to it. And the reason I even thought to bring it up is because I'm not 100% positive that I'm saying Krita correctly, or I don't know how everyone else said it when they read Akatar, or the Akatar series, but because Crete is spelled Crete, and in the
you
book
never
it's
know
CRETA.
until you never know how to pronounce these things
I
unless
know.
you're an audiobook listener, but you never know how to pronounce these until you're confronted in the moment on the internet with saying these words out loud. They were joking, but somebody commented like, "Oh, you said Lunathian wrong. Your theory's wrong immediately." And I'm like, "That's fair enough. You got me."
Okay.
I know. I'm just reading in my mind.
I'm
My
just a
mind's
girl.
not
I read with my
sounding
eyes.
out.
I know.
Cretia.
Krita. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I read with my eyes, and my eyes are probably wrong 100% of the time. But that's how I say it. I also am going to disagree with you if you, or as far as like an audiobook narrator, I feel like just because they're saying it one way also is not necessarily the intended way of saying it, because I can't remember...
Wyvern.
What
Someone
series.
said wyvern.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can't remember what series it was, but there were wyverns in it, and the narrator said wyvern. And it's not like once or twice, like for the entire time it was wyvern. And other audiobook narrators have said wyvern, so I'm like immediately right here. It doesn't matter which one is right, one of them was wrong, because there is a correct way to say it.
I think we can break your personality down with that one sentence.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter which one's right. One of them was wrong. Okay.
That's so true.
All right. Tie me in with the island of
Krita.
Krita.
So, also, we didn't touch on this, but the angels in the Akatar book are the seraphim. They're angels, just saying.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Anyways, the world that they are in is Krita, which is so similar to Crete, which is the island that Zeke, that's my husband. The island that Zeus was born on in Greek mythology. And additionally, in Greek mythology, here's the tie-in, Ariadne was the princess of Crete.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, and Ariadne, as we know, is the name in Crescent City for the dragon shifter. And that, so to me, that right there ties in everything. It ties in the angels, it ties in Thur-ish, and it ties in dragons, but also it ties in the Akatar worlds with the Crescent City worlds, because I hope that Ariadne comes back in this way. She has to come back. I will not sit here and believe for 1 second that Sarah created her character and wrote her in just for her to be in there for a little bit, and then to just be like, okay guys, I'm leaving, and literally just walk away and not show back up again in the
Yeah.
middle of the last book. No way.
I totally agree with you. She's absolutely, I mean, as long as Sarah's who I think she is, Ariadne is just beginning. She has to come back.
However-
Also, the fact that they said nobody's been a dragon shifter in however many
Exactly.
millennia or whatever, like she's rare.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
There's like to put such an emphasis on finding her. Like when they found her and like all of them were freaking out about it, and I don't know, it's just like there was such a craziness
Build
about
up,
her character. Yes, thank you, build up. Like build up about who she was and the fact that they found her and all these things for her to just be like, all right, and I'm done here. Like no way. All right, so thus, if all of these beings are connected, then it's possible. So just as the High Lords of Prythian have a beast form, then Seraphim might have a dragon form. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. That thought quite as much.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if I agree with you, Emily, but I
know.
do see your connection a little bit.
it feels a little loose to me on that.
Loose.
All right, so as Emily's saying, the further proof of this, recall that SJM stated that the House of Sky and Breath cover has a variety of clues and Easter eggs. If we zoom
I don't
in,
remember her saying that.
I'm not gonna
She
lie,
says
I
that?
don't either. I don't know where she says that, but Emily says that she does, and I
trust
have a lot
Emily.
of faith.
I trust
I was
Emily
just about to say,
enough,
I have
yeah.
a lot of faith in her research and her knowledge. But I have not, for myself, looked into that, so keep that in mind. Regardless, if you zoom in on Hunt's chest, there is a face of a dragon on there. So I don't know. That to me, that's more of an Easter egg of Ariadne
That's
herself.
what I was gonna say. Yeah. I'm like,
But again, like we talked about, she is the queen of bringing back stuff. So
she is.
it could be, but to me, I don't know how I feel about the dragon connection, but I am a big fan of the angel connection and the Thur connection and the idea of what that would look like for Amren in
That's our
future
creme de la
books.
Edgar of this episode for sure.
Creme de la Edgar, absolutely. The dragon is a little bit of a loose. I like the parallels of like her name and like and seraphim and like the breaking down that word and how that ties to dragons a lot. But for me, that feels more of just like a reality. Like that's just what that word means, and that's how it is broken down into context of like actual religion. I don't feel like that's anything that Sarah pulled inspiration
to be absolutely
from.
honest, I think that it was just a rabbit trail of like exactly what we did, where we were like, oh, then this leads to this, and then that's the island of Crete, and the island of Crete like the princess of it is Ariadne. I think that Sarah probably just like grabbed, made my own story with it, and I think that's only just further. If we would have read this prior to House of Sky and Breath, or when was she introduced, Ariadne? House of
I'm pretty sure it was I'm pretty sure it was Sky and Breath.
Okay.
I'd have to triple check on that, but
yeah. Well, regardless, I think that if we had
it definitely wasn't the
this
first
theory
one, and we
prior
knew
to
her.
that,
Yeah.
I would assume that there was going to be a character similar to Ariadne that maybe would be a dragon. So that works out. But
And I'm trying
I don't
to
know about
remember.
Amren.
This, however, I will say the post that she posted talking about this, it did come out before Sky and Breath was
Oh,
released.
good job, Emily. You guys should go check it out. Emily's Theories on Tumblr.
Yeah,
She breaks
has
this down a lot more than what we just did, but
Yeah.
cool.
But that's our episode. So that's where we just I guess to recap, Ellie, are you on the same page as me as far as where you land? Like the dragon
Amren's a
aspect of this
dragon.
and the angel
I'm gonna
aspect
throw
of
that
this?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she's a dragon, but I do think I'm going to have to agree with SJM. I do think she wrote her as an Old Testament angel.
To agree with everything she said in that interview. I think that's probably the direction we're
You know
headed.
what? I know this was kind of our own theory, but I do agree with you, actually, that she's not exactly an Old Testament angel, similar to how they're not exactly Thor, they're not exactly Loki, but they're like,
Yeah.
things are based on those characters or places,
Yeah.
Midgard, all that. I think she's going to be a seraphim angel, like what you said, but it's not the angel of death from the Old
Yes.
Testament. Because
Yeah.
even we talked about this off the line, but Sarah
Off the
used
record.
themes from Exodus, where
Yeah.
this parting of the seas. She uses Dracon and Miriam. Miriam is Moses' sister. Like, she's using themes from the Bible that
Yeah.
are very similar, but it's not those exact characters. And I don't think she's going to pull to be like, and then Amren's actually from our real world.
Yeah.
You know, so
Exactly.
things like that. Yeah. So I
One
do
hu-
agree with that.
also-
And then I agree that she might have been serving Thur. That would make all the sense in the world to me, especially if he's comparable to the god of gods like Zeus and Jupiter. And then
Yeah.
bringing in Twilight of the Gods. I do agree with you there too, that this is going to be some epic battle and Amren's going to have some ideas on exactly how to take them down.
Yeah, because I know we have talked about in past episodes that we think she should have stayed dead in Akawar. And I mean, I'm going to double down on that. I also think she should have stayed dead. Like, I really think that it would have been a lot more
Yes.
meaningful and impactful.
Yes.
But everyone's like, no, Nesta needed her. Like, she had to resurrect in order for her character. And I do
She
think
could have used anyone.
I was just
Are
about to
you
say,
countering me?
well, no. I was going to say exactly what you said. Like, I think that Sarah could have written anyone in to do the development. It worked with Amren because she was an existing character, and obviously out of the inner circle, Amren has the best personality for it. But I do think there could have been either a new character, or I think she could have written her like a different
Even Emery. She could
mentorship.
have written Emery more
Yeah.
as a mentor than just like a friend.
A friend,
met. And
yeah.
then you write that. I mean, a writer can write anything.
I know.
So
But-
I do think Amren should have stayed dead for a more impactful ending.
Yes,
That's just
but
me.
I will say too, if her knowing like Twilight of the God aspect and this what we're saying is all true,
Yes.
that to me makes way more sense why she was
Yes.
resurrected, and that
do agree.
at that point I will change my mind. That I'm like saying I'm glad that she
Okay.
came back,
But not to play
until
Sarah,
then,
but I will.
I'm double down. Not to play
Not to
Sarah.
play Sarah, but I will. What if Amren stayed dead? We all had our good cry about it. We wiped our tears. We moved on with however many other books came out.
Yeah.
Silver Flames, The Rest, Crescent City, all that. And
Frost
then
and Starlight,
Twilight,
can't forget that
thank
one.
you. Twilight of the Gods comes out, and they resurrect Amren that way. And that when she was put into the cauldron or whatever, like she was sucked into the cauldron, a god pulled her out.
That would have
I
been so
could've-
cool.
I could have helped you.
All right, so Ellie, you're gonna have to rewrite this fanfic, which means you're gonna have to rewrite quite a few books. But
I give
good
that.
luck with
I give
that.
anyone else permission to do that. I can't write. So you're just gonna. It's gonna have a lot of likes and ums in there, and everyone's gonna get frustrated.
Give anyone else permission to do that. That's so funny. Oh man,
You have my consent. Take that idea
gave me-
and run.
and run with it. The only caveat is you have to share it with me first.
Yes.
There
Not
it
even
is.
first. I'd like to eventually see it.
That's
I'm
true.
so
Yeah,
low
just show me.
maintenance. Just like whenever is convenient for you, toss
Just let
it
me
my
know
way.
that you've done it, and I would love to read it.
Doesn't even have to be a physical copy. Ebook is fine.
I will pay
Spare-
you to
no
for the
expense
publishing
needed
of
on
it.
me.
Like,
Yeah. All right. So that's our
well-
episode, everyone.
Yes.
Check out our indie book this Wednesday. And anything else, Melissa? We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what your thoughts are on this on our Instagram or DMs. I don't know. We have quite a few different ways you could contact us. Just do one of them. Let us know. I'm curious.
Yeah. All right.
And
Bye,
have a great
guys.
rest of your week, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Bye.